Hi, I'm Kayla. Welcome back, and we're here to talk about if birth control will make you gain weight. My experience might not be everyone's experience, and so I wanted to teach a little bit about this concept because I really wish that when I was considering what birth control options I was going to choose, that I was educated a little bit more. I did have some education and I self-educated as well, which I advocate for, but there are some things that a doctor or someone who has studied biology should be able to explain to you to help you make the best decision for yourself. So we're going to talk about the types of birth control and how they could affect weight gain, as well as some factors in our body that could contribute to that. So let's dive in. So first you want to ask a question about the type of birth control that you're thinking about using. Is it estrogen based or is it progesterone based? So these two things are going to kind of determine how the birth control is communicating to your body. What is it telling your body? And that's an important thing to know, so you know, could it cause weight gain or might it not? So when we're looking at that, if it's an estrogen-based birth control that's hormonal, estrogen, what that's going to tell your body is don't ovulate. We just ovulated, we just ovulated, we just ovulated, we just ovulated. So that is how it's going to stop ovulation. It's going to increase the estrogen levels, and it's going to prevent your body from ovulating because of that. Now, some are combination pills. They're going to have progesterone and estrogen, which is a little different. And then there are progesterone based. So these are usually things that are advertised as like low dose or estrogen free. Some people have headaches from taking synthetic estrogen, so that could be part of it. And what is a progesterone based hormonal birth control telling your body? It's going to tell your body you're pregnant. You're pregnant, you're pregnant, you're pregnant. So just ovulated or we're pregnant are two very different messages that your body is receiving. So when we're pregnant, what happens? Generally, we gain weight in order to provide sustenance for ourselves as well as the growing baby. It also helps to make sure that the baby has ample resources for development, for nutrients, and all of those types of things. In short, it is healthy to gain weight, usually about 30 pounds, when we're pregnant. So progesterone-based hormonal birth controls could cause that weight gain if your body perceives that it's in a false state of pregnancy on that hormonal birth control. That is a possibility with both progesterone-based as well as, or synthetic progesterone is what I should be saying, synthetic progesterone-based hormonal birth control or combination pills. Progesterone synthetics are also in those combo pills. So these are things to consider. And then the other thing to consider is if we're not ready to ovulate yet, that's the high estrogen option. Now, some people might not gain weight on that option if it's just high estrogen levels that are being applied. Now, this is really difficult to find often, but the thing to consider is your body. How's your body producing estrogen? How's your body process estrogen? And that's what we're going to talk about next, because this is a little bit more of a difficult topic to just take right up off the bat. So to start, estrogen needs to be detoxified from our body. We all have different genetic propensities. I know that's a big word. That just means genetic ability to print something that's an enzyme or have a specific pathway that's going to be followed that is going to allow us to detoxify from our body anything that comes in that should not be there. That involves our liver and our kidneys. So that's where a lot of these reactions take place to detoxify our bloodstream. If we have used steroid medication before, if we've used a lot of pain medication, we might be able to know if we've gained weight from using those things before. And the reason I say that is because some of those medications are going to be detoxified the same way, and some people with chronic illnesses might have had them applied. Some people might have had them applied for endometriosis or for early onset rheumatoid arthritis as a teenager, or other issues that could be autoimmune related, or steroid use for, some people use it for athletic performance, not that that's a great idea, but And then also for sometimes it's given for recovery of chronic colds. And so those things could be something that's considered, because those medications are usually detoxified similarly, not exactly how estrogen is, but they could give an indication of how well someone can detoxify. So when I say this, it's because fat is where toxic materials that have not been fully detoxified are usually stored for the protection of our vital organs. Our bloodstream is very closely regulated by our body. So if something is not completely broken down and able to be detoxified, our body wants to get it out of the bloodstream. It's going to put it into our visceral fat. That's things that usually line our stomach. And so that is part of what you might want to consider. If you've taken some of those, you've gained a little bit of weight from it, that could be a sign that hormonal birth control that's estrogen based might be more difficult for your body to process as well. So the other things that I'm going to talk about are, how's your digestion? Digestion is a factor because estrogen is detoxified through our liver and through our bile, and it's primarily excreted through poop. Not everybody likes to talk about poop. I've kind of gotten used to talking about poop over the years, but that is a factor. If we're not pooping regularly, if we're not having regular bowel movements, if we have constipation, or if we have dietary sensitivities, or if we have digestive inconsistencies, so maybe you get really bad gas and bloating or things like that, then it could be a sign that our bodies aren't as well adapted to detoxifying estrogen, which needs that bile to be excreted into our intestines and for us to go to the bathroom for that to work well. So the next thing that I really advocate, if you haven't watched my How to Track Your Cycle video, I'll link it in the description. It was a few weeks ago, but that is something to consider as well. Do we gain weight cyclically around our ovulation time? That's our peak of estrogen, and we can, if we don't detoxify it all the way by the next cycle, we can experience PMS, we can experience bloating and water weight around the time of our menstrual cycle, which are all signs of high estrogen, as well as things like sore and tender breasts right before our period. And so those are things to consider. If you already have high levels of estrogen, using an estrogen-based hormonal birth control could overwhelm the body in being able to get rid of that. It's a sign of our body not being able to keep up with detoxifying the estrogen that's already in our system that we produce naturally. So what does this mean overall? Let's talk about that. So overall, it's possible everybody reacts differently to medications, to foods, to a lot of different things. You might not expect that you react to something well, and you try it and it works well for you. If that is the case, great. I encourage people to use what's right for them. Some things are not right for me. I did experience not only severe weight gain, about 5 to 8 pounds per month for about a year and a half that I was using a progesterone-based hormonal medication for birth control, but I also experienced a lot of mental and emotional disturbances. I'm going to call them disturbances because they were not normal. They weren't just like depression or anything like that. It was a very strong reaction that I personally had, and I saw that was partly because of my own capacity to detoxify. I know myself. I know areas that I'm a little weaker in, and so I need to make compensations for them sometimes. But we'll talk about that another time. So I hope this was really helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to share them in the comments below and reach out. I'd love to have your questions and be able to go over them and talk about what was really going on for you. So I hope that was helpful, and until next time, be well.